The New York Islanders played their best all-around game in some time and down the Washington Capitals 4-1. We have our key takeaways, including why it was their best game in a while, plus our weekly farm report and a current Islander. Is our Islanders' birthday of the day? All that and more coming up on this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast. So glad you could join us today, and thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all platforms. If you've got something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question for us about something we said on the show, a comment about something we already discussed, or about the Islanders play, or maybe you've got a topic you'd like us to talk about, feel free to send us an email. The email address, lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we will mention you on the show when we talk about your question, comment, or topic. You could also follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Isles, and you could follow me, Gil Martin, on Twitter at Ice Wars, NYR, VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all the latest Islanders news, notes, and happenings. And I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. Finally, the Islanders' 5-game losing streak is over, and they played one of their best all-around games in quite some time. And I'll tell you, first off, this was, if you were to put together the ingredients for how the Islanders have to play to win a hockey game, this game, more or less, had all of them. You got good goaltending, 32 saves and 33 shots by Ilya Sorokin. Sorokin getting the job done for the Islanders. Strong team defense, the Islanders, limiting the quality scoring chances of the Washington Capitals, keeping the Capitals on the perimeter. You look at the shot chart in this one, more than half of the Capital shots coming from the point or behind the face-off circles, only a handful in those high danger areas, and that is a big difference maker for the Islanders. You let your goalie see the puck, you limit the number of chances that the or high quality chances that the opposing team has, and you certainly gain an advantage that way. The power play clicked. You had 2 goals on the power play by the Islanders. The penalty kill was strong. Not only did they kill off all 4 power play chances that the Capitals had in this game, but you get a shorthanded goal and a highlight reel shorthanded goal at that by Casey Cizikas, who was down on his side on the ice and somehow managed to lift the puck over Ilya Samsonov and put it in the net. A beautiful play right there by Cizikas, and it counted, and the Islanders right there doing all the things they needed to do. And I'll throw this in, even though it wasn't overwhelmingly true, 26 shots on goal for the Islanders. Not as many shots as maybe you'd like, but again, the quality of the shots rather than just the number of shots was there. And to top it all off, the Islanders did all of this playing with only 11 forwards and 6 defensemen. They were short a player. Brock Nelson held out of this game at the last minute. They had already returned Otto Koivula back down to Bridgeport. They did, on an emergency basis, recall Robin Salo. Zdeno Chara also out along with Nelson in a non-COVID related illness. So Salo comes in. And look, he was a -1. He was on ice for the only goal the team allowed. Played only 12 minutes and 40 seconds, by far the least amount of ice time of any player. And look, he had 2 giveaways. He blocked 1 shot, had 1 shot on goal. Not the most amazing game for Robin Salo, but the good news is we got to see him play. He got his feet wet again at the NHL level and didn't end up hurting the team very much overall. So you just got to appreciate the fact that Robin Salo gets another NHL game under his belt, given all the crazy things that are going on with the Islanders and not putting some of the younger players out there. So you had Aho and Salo both in this game. You had Kiefer Bellows and Oliver Wahlstrom in this game. Wally, though, only playing 6 minutes and 9 seconds. Again, I want to see more. I know Wahlstrom's play has been uneven, and after a fast start, he's faded. But I want to see more of Oliver Wahlstrom and Kiefer Bellows. Bellows, the next least amount of ice time among Islander players, only 8 minutes and 57 seconds. But I got to also say this, and this is frustrating as heck. I feel for Kyle Palmieri. Palms had an assist in this game. He had 4 shots on goal. He had a highlight reel goal early in the game in the first period that appeared to have put the Islanders up by a score of 1-0. And it was reviewed after the Capitals requested it, and it was overturned as it was ruled that Zach Parise had interfered with Samsonov, and the result is the goal does not count. How many times is Kyle Palmieri going to come close to getting that 200th career NHL goal, only to either hit the post or have it overturned or have the puck go wide? He has come so close so many times. He is seemingly snake bit, and I feel for the guy. I really, truly feel for the guy. Hopefully he will get that 200th career NHL goal before the end of the season. There's only 2 games left. I would hate for him to have to wait throughout the offseason to reach that milestone. By the way, the other really great goal, Anders Lee's tally, just a bullet. And, the other goals coming from Pulak on a very hard blast, and Dobson. So the defenseman getting in on the scoring, the power play clicking 2 goals tonight. They have been hot as of late. And they did a good job of keeping the puck in the offensive zone and passing it and moving it around and then taking shots. So overall, this is the blueprint for victory, folks. The problem from an Islanders perspective is that this year we didn't see enough of it. And how about J.G. Pageau? All right, you look at it. No points in this game, but 6 hits, which paced the team, and then winning 61% of his faceoffs, 14 out of 23. Little things, right? And he did some penalty kill work, some power play work. And Matthew Barzal, got to give a shout out to him. He has struggled in his play as of late, but because the Islanders were down a forward, Barzy was the one who got double shifted more than anybody else, played more than 24 minutes in this game, looked fresh, played well. Only 1 shot on goal. That's Matthew Barzal. He's more pass first, but Barzy rising to the occasion. Pageau, 21 minutes and change. Bailey, 19 minutes. Those are the guys who picked up most of the slack because Brock Nelson wasn't available. And I got to say, they did a great job. We've got more to talk about. The Bridgeport Islanders are playoff bound. We have our weekly farm report, and we'll talk all about that. Plus, a present-day Islander is our Islanders' birthday of the day. More to come on the Locked On Islanders podcast. This episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Ingredients travel from the farm to your doorstep in under a week, so they always arrive fresh, all without that trip to the grocery store or the farmer's market. And you can pick your favorites from 50 different weekly options, and skip weeks when you need to, change your delivery date, or update your preferences, all in the HelloFresh app. HelloFresh has fit and wholesome recipes for satisfying and nutritious meals you could feel good about, with 6 recipes a week to choose from, including low-calorie and carb-conscious options. I've tried it. It's great. You don't waste food. It's good. It's healthy. It's tasty. I mean, this is really a great product. Go to HelloFresh.com/LockedOn16 to use code LockedOn16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. Again, that's HelloFresh.com/LockedOn16 and use code LockedOn16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts from HelloFresh.com. Thanks again for making Locked On Islanders your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast. Nightly recaps of every NHL game with analysis from our local experts. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. Time now for our farm report. Good news, and we did mention it on the Monday show, but the Bridgeport Islanders are going to the playoffs. Their regular season finished up this past weekend, and they have clinched a playoff berth. They will be in the Calder Cup playoffs, and that, folks, is very good news for the New York Islanders and their organization. Bridgeport clinching the win with a big game on Friday night, ending up with a win. You get losses by Hartford and Lehigh Valley, and the Islanders beat the Springfield Thunderbirds by a final score of 4-2. It was 2-2. Then with 5:03 left in regulation time, Austin Czarnik gets the game-winning goal. Chris Terry, Cole Bardreau, and Kyle McLaren also scored. Corey Schneider, 23 saves to earn the victory, and that was the playoff clincher, which was, needless to say, a relief. The following day, the Islanders fall to the Hartford Wolfpack by a score of 3-2. Czarnik scoring again, but they end up falling just short. Andy Andreoff also getting the goal. Chris Terry, 2 assists in this one, 17 multi-point games this year for him. 25 saves by Jakub Skarik in what ended up being a losing effort. But the important thing is that Bridgeport is in the playoffs. Now, we don't know their opponent just yet. The AHL goes by point percentage. We know that no one can catch Bridgeport, but there are still games elsewhere in the AHL to be played this coming weekend, and the season officially ending this weekend, and then we will find out who Bridgeport will be playing in the postseason. But here's the thing. The Islanders season will end Friday. They've got a game left against Washington Thursday, Friday, Tampa Bay. You can send some of those younger players on the Islanders roster down to Bridgeport and get some of those, younger, inexperienced guys, some professional playoff experience. And if you catch lightning in a bottle and you do well there, it sets up the Islanders to maybe go on a lengthy playoff run. Now, we talked last week about Aatu Raty, the Islanders' top pick in last year's NHL entry draft. He was on loan in Europe for most of the season, played his first 2 games for Bridgeport this past weekend, did not figure in the scoring, had 3 shots on goal in the 2 games, was a -2. But again, the important thing is, A, Raty did not look out of place. B, is now going to get exposure, direct exposure to North American hockey. AHL hockey is probably equivalent to NHL preseason hockey, which he played a few games for the Islanders earlier in training camp. But AHL playoff hockey is probably a notch above NHL preseason hockey, at least in the way the intensity level is. So very good to see. Rattay is going to get that playoff experience. The final statistics for the Bridgeport Islanders: Chris Terry leading the team in goals with 30, in points with 61. The assist leader with 35 was Otto Koivula. He only played in 56 games. He was second on the team with 47 points. Simon Holmstrom, 43 points. Andy Andreoff, 42 points. He had 18 goals, which was second on the team. Only the one player with 20 or more goals, and that was Chris Terry. But again, he had 30 and led the team in that category. As far as defenseman, Parker Wotherspoon, 24 points in 57 games, breaking it down to 3 goals, 21 assists. Grant Hutton, 9 goals and 20 points in only 46 games. Robin Salo, who again played for the Islanders last night, 4 goals, 20 points in 40 games for the Bridgeport Islanders. So those are the final statistics offensively. Defensively, goaltending, Corey Schneider finishes the season, or at least the regular season, with a .271 goals against average, a .921 save percentage, and a record of 14-11-4. Jakub Skarek, 3.30 goals against, an .896 save percentage, and a record of 16-15-4. Skarek really was playing his best hockey earlier in the season and kind of slumped a little bit, struggled a little bit more in the later stages of the year. But the Islanders, in the end up with the playoff berth, and they've gotten some pretty good goaltending from the veteran Corey Schneider to help them reach the postseason. So we got more Islanders playoff, Bridgeport Islanders playoffs to report on, and we'll talk about that next week when we do our farm report, and hopefully the farm report will just keep extending the longer the Bridgeport Islanders stay in the postseason. We've got more to get to. A current Islander is our Islanders' birthday of the day, and he's a pretty popular player. See if you can guess who it is. That and more still to come on this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. Have you tried the Puffs? Well, if you haven't, you're missing out on one of Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar. They're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Puffs are a fan favorite. They've got incredible flavors like yummy, cinnamony, churro, coconut marshmallow, and my personal favorite, banana cream pie. So good. These are going to be your new favorite, and like all Built Bars, they are covered in 100% chocolate. Most Built Bars contain just 130 calories, only 4 grams of sugar, and just 4 net carbs, but they pack 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which will give you 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. At Built Bar, they're all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first, then figure out how to make it healthy. And I don't know how, but they pull it off every time. Go to Built.com and use promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. Time now for our Islanders' birthday of the day, and we want to wish a very happy 34th birthday to Islanders goaltender Semyon Varlamov. Varlamov, a native of Samara, Russia, drafted in the first round. Not too many goalies get drafted in the first round anymore, by the Washington Capitals back in 2006 with the 23rd overall pick. Made his NHL debut in 08-09 with the Caps. Stayed there through the 2010-2011 season, went on to Colorado, where he stayed through 2018-2019, and he has spent the last 3 campaigns with the New York Islanders. Got the Islanders, a big reason why the New York Islanders advanced to the conference final in each of the last 2 years, and he did that despite the irregularities in the schedule with COVID and all the bubble playoffs and everything else. So talk about a guy who keeps his cool. Semyon Varlamov got to be on that list. We're going to go back and look at one of his better games with the Islanders. How about May 31st, 2021, 11 months ago almost, Islanders at the TD Garden in Boston to take on the Bruins in the playoffs, second round action. And it's Varlamov, obviously, for the Islanders. Tuukka Rask, the goalie for the Bruins. And the Bruins got on the board first. Charlie Coyle, his second from Nick Ritchie and Carson Kuhlman at 2:38 of the game. Islanders quickly down 1-0. But in the second, it was all Islanders. Josh Bailey on the power play with David Pastrnak offering interference. His fourth from Kyle Palmieri and Brock Nelson. That tied it at 1. Then Palmieri, his fourth of the playoffs from Nick Leddy and J.G. Pageau at 11 minutes. Makes it 2-1 Islanders. And then again, the power play with Brandon Carlo off for cross-checking J.G. Pageau. His second from Anthony Beauvillier and Matthew Barzal at 17:21. 3-1 Islanders after 2 periods, and you think, okay, Islanders are in the driver's seat. But midway through the third, Patrice Bergeron is fourth from Brad Marchand and David Pastrnak. And then a power play late in the period. The Islanders had a too many men on the ice call, and Brad Marchand, his fourth from Charlie McAvoy at 15:06, ties the game at 3 apiece. We go to overtime. And in the extra session, it was Casey Cizikas, his first unassisted at 14:58. The Islanders beat the Boston Bruins by a score of 4-3 for Semyon Varlamov. 39 saves in 42 shots in almost 75 minutes of hockey. A .929 save percentage and just a very strong all-around performance. The Islanders outshot in this one 42-39. And again, 39 saves, just a great performance by Varlamov to keep his team in the game. So again, a very happy 34th birthday to Semyon Varlamov. He is our Islanders' birthday of the day. Gotta give credit to the Islanders. You know, one thing I talked about on yesterday's show, I wanted to see effort. I have been disappointed in the effort that this team put forth during most of that 5-game losing streak. The Islanders should be playing loose, and they did. And they overcame some adversity and came away with the win. This is the kind of hockey we need to see from this team, and I'm glad we finally did get to see it last night. And hopefully it'll carry over again tomorrow when the Islanders face the Capitals again. 2 games left on the schedule. This one, both of them rather, at home to close out the year. Thanks again for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On NHL. Our rotating group of hosts are breaking down the biggest stories from around the league every Monday through Friday. It's free and available on all platforms. And yes, I do host the Monday edition and co-host the Friday edition, so definitely check out Locked On NHL. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll have a preview of the home game against the Capitals and a whole lot more coming up tomorrow, so make sure you join us for that. Until then, have a great day, everybody. Stay safe, and of course, let's go Islanders.